Well, hello everyone. It's Kari back here again with you for Foiling Friday. Today for Foiling Friday, we're going to have a little bit of fun because we are going to be focused on foiling with vellum and acetate. And I'm going to share with you some of my favorite ways to foil with vellum and acetate, and then a bunch of ideas on turning them into cards because I want you to see what they look like all put together into cards and just give you a lot of ideas. Hopefully you'll get inspired. But take a look at this beautiful vellum. This is all from Maker Forte. And this one here is the Snow Flurries vellum. It's so beautiful. It's kind of got a snowy metallic look to it. It just shimmers. And then this one is the Asteroid vellum, which is more of a silvery, shimmery vellum. Then we have premium vellum from Maker Forte. And the premium vellum is a little thicker. Here, I want to show you. This is the translucent vellum, and it is actually a lot thicker. So see, I think I have two pieces here, but I don't. It's just one. So it's a nice, beautiful weight vellum. It's great for certain foiling techniques. And then we have the aged antique vellum, which is so pretty. The seafoam vellum, which is more of a gray-green color. And then the Rosé, the Day Away vellum, which is a beautiful pink. I'm hoping to use all of these in our card making session today. I'm also going to be using some of this acetate. So this is just acetate sheets 5x7 that I got from scrapbook.com. There's also embossable window plastic, which you can use. I have some full sheets of that. But if you have transparency film, like a lot of people used to have that around, that will also work. Now I'm going to be foiling these sheets of paper. I've already printed them on some vellum. This one here is the aged antique, and look at these beautiful sentiments. Our very own Amanda designed these for us, and I love them so much. She actually designed a couple different versions of it. One's a little bit smaller, so you can add some larger images on. Here's the smaller version. This one I printed on acetate, and you can see that I printed it by taping it to a regular piece of paper. That's the only way my printer would work to print on the acetate. And I should also mention that I am using a laser printer here. That is what you need in order to foil. It must be toner printed. If you don't have a laser printer, you can always take this to the copy shop and have the copy shop copy that with their copier because that uses toner, or print it on their laser printer. So you have a couple of versions. But don't worry, I'm also going to show you some ways to do vellum and acetate without printing it. Now look at this. I did try to print on the translucent vellum. It was too thick. It kept getting stuck in my printer. And so I did not have good results with that. Everybody's printer is going to be a little bit different. Now this one here is the vellum, Asteroid vellum. And I taped that to a regular sheet of paper and then printed my Mary. This one I just printed from Word. I just typed out Mary, picked a font, and printed that myself. And here's a tip. I printed it first on the copy paper. Then I put my vellum over the top and taped it where it was printed on the paper, so I knew exactly where it was going to print on my vellum. And so that one worked really well as long as I taped it to a regular piece of copy paper. So I've got a bunch of versions here on all the different vellums. The only one I didn't use was the translucent thicker vellum for this printing one, but I'm going to show you some other options for using a foil on that vellum. So I put down my heat resistant craft mat for my Mink machine because I was finding that the heat does warp my work surface. So I like to protect it with that heat resistant craft mat. But I'm putting it only on half of it so that I can have half to cut my foil, because you all know how much I love my foil cutter, which is this right here. And so I can cut that on the left side while protecting my work surface on the right with the craft mat, because I didn't want to cut my craft mat using my rotary trimmer. I have here my toner brush. I have this one set aside only to use with foiling, and that is to brush off any excess toner bits that might be on there so I get a good foiling result. And this foil that I'm using is the Maker Forte Sunrise Lake, I believe it's called. It's so beautiful. And for a bunch of these, I was looking for my red foil. I can't find it, so I'm going to move on to some orange foil first and do one of the Autumn Blessings. This sparkling orange is so beautiful. It's a Gina foil. And keep in mind that all of these are available in the Maker Forte shop, so if you're looking for them, you can find them there in the shop, as well as this rotary trimmer. So I'm going to cut some of that, and I didn't press down hard enough. Don't forget, when you use these rotary trimmers, you do have to press down a little bit. But then look how easy this is to cut, so much easier than using scissors. So I'm just going to start foiling away so that we can turn all of these into cards. And what I found with my Mink machine, that I turned it to the setting 3. And what I found is that I need to let it heat up a little bit longer than I think, because this first one, I had still some areas that weren't foiled all the way. And you all know how much I like a good result in foiling. Kind of particular about my foiling. So I will tell you that I did run most of these through twice at the beginning until my Mink machine heated up a little bit better. And then I do like to loosen it with my bone folder. Look at that. We got a practically perfect result on that one. And here's the give thanks, and that is so much better now that I ran it through a second time. That was the aged antique vellum. This one too, and look, I found my red foil. So I'm going to go ahead and foil up the Jingle All the Way with red. And this is such a beautiful one. It's got some stars in the background. This is also a Gina foil available. So I'll put it in my pre-cut parchment sheets, and I also add a piece of card stock, and that will help with the pressure. So if you're finding you're not getting a good foiling result, it could either be the heat setting or the amount of pressure. So if you try it with a piece of cardstock or even a thicker piece, or run it through a couple of times, you're going to find you get a little better result. On this Jingle All the Way, I did find that there was a spot that didn't foil all the way. That was because of my printing. So the printer didn't print it exactly perfectly. So I just want to thank ThermoWeb, first of all, because look at this beautiful collection. That first one was Enchanted Rose. This is Prince Periwinkle. Here we have Peach Princess. This one is Glass Slipper. And the last one here is Lily Pad. This is the Enchanted collection, the Fairy Tale collection. And ThermoWeb is giving one lucky winner this entire set of the Fairy Tale collection. And I'm going to tell you how you can win. So stay tuned till the end, because I'll tell you how you can win some of this beautiful, or this whole foil collection. Now notice on this one, this is the acetate, and I didn't get it fully printed on that A there. That's okay. I'm going to show you how to fix some of that. If you don't get a good foiling result, whether it be because of the printer or because of the foil or the setting or anything, there are just some ways you can get around that as well. So I'm going to still foil this up. I'm leaving the acetate on the paper, but I am going to remove that tape. I didn't know if that tape would melt onto the acetate or not, and I really didn't want to take a chance, so I'm just going to peel the tape off, and then we'll run it through the Mink machine. Now I have a mini Mink machine, and I found that on the mini Mink I do only need to set it on a 3 setting, but on the regular Mink I have to set it to a 4 setting. And so heat and pressure will vary by machine, and the printing will vary by printer. So I just want you to be aware that there are some things you can do just to try to get better and better at this foiling business. No worries. So see, on this pink one, I'm going to run it through one more time. But in the end, we get a pretty good result on that acetate. So look at this. There was a little bit left up there, and there's a couple spots you can see that didn't foil all the way. And that's what we're going to fix in the end. So I'm going to keep on foiling here. That Happy Holidays, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think I turned that into a card after all. But I'm going to use this lily pad foil on it. It's a lighter green. It's really pretty. I love using a light green and a pink for Christmas. That pink I used was the Enchanted Rose. When I saw this fairy tale collection come out, I had to have all of them. I went and bought them all right away. I love them. Here's the Peach Princess. It's very pretty. And that turned out so nice. I don't know why I didn't turn that one into a card, but I am making like 10 or 12 cards in the end. So you'll see all of the results in the end. So now let's go ahead and do some of these autumn Thanksgiving ones as well. These are also on the acetate, and I left that paper behind so you can see what it says. And also it did help when I ran it through the ink, just to give it that extra pressure for the acetate. So I'll just keep foiling all of these. Let's see how this one turns out. This might be one of my favorites. Look at that. Okay, there's one spot right there that wasn't perfect. But for the most part, it's pretty good. Here's the green one here. And you'll see that every time I like to loosen that with the bone folder, that's because I know that the foil is sticking really well. And you'll see I do wait a few seconds before I release the foil. Look how pretty that is. So if you give it a little bit of time to cool off, I find it works a little bit better as well. So let's use this foil once again on that Autumn Blessings. And oh, I just realized that I forgot to tell you that all of these design sheets, the ones that Amanda designed, we're going to tell you how you can get those for free also. So if you want to try some of this foiling and you want to try it with these designer sheets, that's what I'm going to call them, they're designer, then we will have instructions for you on how to get those in the description below after this posts to YouTube. So if you're here for the live, I think that if you wait till after, then the link will be available for you. And so I hope you love them. If you do, leave a comment. Tell Amanda how much you love them. All right. So this is beautiful fall paper by Maker Forte. I'm going to use one of the gingham ones here, this one, for our acetate. Probably not for this Autumn Blessings because I couldn't read it very well, but look at this Give Thanks on there. That looks so cool. I'm going to show you a new way of attaching the vellum as well. Or maybe it's an old way. It could be. So for the Autumn Blessings, I've got this pretty pumpkin stencil from Maker Forte, and this is what I'm going to use to stencil onto the background. I've taped off the pumpkin and I'm starting out with some fresh prints, and then I'm going to go in with some Cotswold green, and that will just give it a little bit of dimension, a little darker green towards the bottom there. And then I'm going to switch the tape and tape off that stem so that I can ink on the ink just to the pumpkin. So this is red luster that I'm using at first, and I'm just going to go over it lightly with the red luster, adding some darkness towards the top and bottom and the sides. And then I'm going to go in with some Grand Canyon and add a little bit more of a shadow. So that's just as easy as it gets right there. And you can go as dark as you want. I thought that was pretty good right there. And now take a look at the Autumn Blessings on top of this pumpkin. I think it looks really, really cool. But I think also I want to turn this into a shaker card. So let's go ahead and do that. I've chosen another piece of this fall paper, and I have two of the rectangle dies from Maker Forte here that I'm just going to tape together and run through at the same time to make that frame. That is going to frame our sentiment perfectly. And to add that to the vellum, I'm taking some score tape, and this is just sticky, really strong tape. I'm going to put it around all the sides here of the frame, and then we can attach that directly to the acetate that has the Autumn Blessings on it. This is a really great way to add acetate to your card as well. Anytime you want to add a frame, it doesn't have to be a shaker card, but this is a great way to disguise some of that tape or whatever you're using to stick it down to your card. Now you can see I got a little acetate over the edges of the frame, so I'm just going to trim that just a little bit here till we get it perfect and matched up there. Now I have some of the specialty glitter from Maker Forte. This is the Mimosa. I believe that's what this color is. It's so beautiful and I love it with that pumpkin. But look here, when I put the acetate over the top, it wanted to stick completely to that acetate. So here's another tip for you. Take a dryer sheet and run it over your acetate. That's going to get rid of any of the static cling. And that way when you put this shaker card together, the glitter and the confetti elements you put in there won't stick to the acetate. So it works great. So now I just added some double thick foam tape over the top. That way I don't have to double up on my foam tape. It's already double for me. I love that. And that's going to create our shaker element. Just so easy. That pumpkin in the background, that bright, beautiful specialty glitter. Then I'll just add that to a card base there. And we have a really fun autumn shaker card. It was so simple to make. For this one, the give thanks, I'm going to turn that into a sign. And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm just trimming it down so they match up. And then I'm going to take a hole punch and just eyeball it. And I'm just kind of figuring out where the center is for 2 holes. So I think maybe there and there. It's not probably going to be perfect, but it's pretty good. And now I have some raffia here, and this is just raffia ribbon. I thought it was perfect for a Thanksgiving look, and I'm just going to run it through those holes, back up through the front, just like that, and then tie a knot in the front. Then I'll open up the raffia. That's one cool thing about this ribbon is that it comes closed like this, but you can open it and give it more of a kind of like a corn husk look, which I feel like reminds me of Thanksgiving. And so I'm going to open that up and then I'm going to cut the ends so that we've got like a banner ribbon end here. I always have to think of which direction to cut it. But there we go. We've got those fishtail ends, and that's really cute. I'm going to cut this one just a little shorter there. There we go. And for this sign, I have like this little easel that I use for displaying cards, and I think I'm going to use this for the give thanks sign. This will be perfect for a table setting or just as, I'm going to push those in a little. There we go. Just as a little sign to remind you to give thanks. For this next give thanks or autumn blessings that we have on the Aged Antique Vellum, I'm going to use this stencil here to ink on some beautiful gourds. That's what these are called. Pumpkins or gourds. You can use whatever color you want, but I really love the look of blue with orange. They're very complementary colors. I started out with the Icy Mist, but it was too light, so then I went in with the blue raspberry. If any of you know me, you know that I use blue raspberry a lot. It might be one of my most used colors. I don't know. I might have to start keeping track, but look how pretty that looks. So I started inking it darker on the bottom of each of them and then lighter as we go to the top. And now for the tops of each of them, I'm using these smaller blending brushes, and this I'm going to go in with Fresh Prints. I wasn't sure if that was the color I really wanted, so I'm testing it out on this first one just to see. And it looks pretty cool, but I need to do that a little bit darker. So that is what I'm going to choose for this one. I think it really complements that Autumn Blessings with the beautiful orange sketch foil. So there we go, just going to finish that up there. And one great thing about foil is that it does resist ink. So even though I was avoiding those words, I got a little bit on the foil, and so I'm just taking a dry microfiber cloth and wiping that very, very gently so as not to disturb the foil, but just getting the excess ink off of there. And then I have this copper paper that was just in my stash, and I'm going to use that as the mat for this. Normally I would cut the center out and use that for something else, but today, since I'm making so many cards and I was in such a hurry, I just used the whole thing, and it's just turned out fine. It's beautiful. So we've got the foil, we've got the copper paper, and then those beautiful pumpkins and gourds on the front in a blue raspberry. I like it. For this give thanks, I just inked up the edges with a brown ink, and now I'm going to take this distressor, it's called a paper distressor, and I'm going to distress all those edges. I feel like the aged antique lends itself really well to a distressed look, so if you like doing mixed media, distressing, giving it kind of that worn look, you're going to love this vellum. So I just kind of roughed up those edges a bit, and I'm folding the edges up just a touch, so I'm not gluing all the way to the edges. I want them to kind of fold up around the edges. And now I'm going to use some of the ephemera that comes in the bundle. By the way, the Foiling Friday bundles are just amazing. I didn't get the bundle in time to use the new foils today and all the new things that came, but be sure to check that out. We'll have that linked for you to take a look at. There's a really great price point on them too for Foiling Friday, so check out the November bundle. All right, now let's move on using some of this beautiful translucent premium vellum that's a little bit thicker. I'm going to be using it with some DecoFoil Duo Gel. And I have this beautiful stencil that has the snowflakes on it, and I've got a brand new jar here. You know how fast I go through this DecoFoil Duo Gel, right? So I've got a brand new jar and it feels so great. I'm just going to carefully ink that over the vellum. I'm trying not to put too much because I don't want it to warp that vellum at all. But this is a nice thick vellum, so hopefully we're not going to get too much warping. We'll find out. Now I've got this beautiful Christmas background stencil. I cannot remember the name of this, but I will have all of the supplies listed below so you can take a look. And I'm taking a small amount of that gel as well and just pushing that through the stencil. This time I'm going over the entire panel of vellum. So you're going to see what that does to the vellum in just a minute. But look at this. We got a really great result. I was worried because it is a little slippery. I was worried that it might go underneath the stencil and slip and slide on that vellum, but it really didn't have any problems. And so I thought, let's try it on the acetate. So I'm doing the same thing over this Tessodot stencil. I'm being a little bit messy with this. I kind of wished I paid more careful attention to the edges, but I was just kind of sloppy a little bit. But you'll see that the card still turns out really cool. But the edges could have been better. I think I could have done a little better on those edges. But anyway, this Duo Gel dries clear, so you're going to know when it's ready to foil. But look what happened to this one already. It is curling up that vellum. And it actually started getting some of that Duo Gel on one of my other projects. So I lifted it up quickly, and I'm taking a jar and kind of leaning it over that jar, like balancing it, and that helped it to dry a little bit better. So now let's try one of my favorite tricks in foiling, and that is using a stamp. I have the Distressed Plaid stamp and this shiplap background stamp, both white rubber, so these are going to really transfer great. But will they work on vellum and acetate? Let's find out. So I've got the Duo Gel here, and I have a foam blending brush that I use only for this kind of application, just for the Duo Gel. If you try to stick it in your jar though, it gets all over the sides. So just take a little bit of that gel and put it on your craft mat or your glass mat, whatever you're working on, and then use your sponge to kind of lightly put it onto the stamp. Now I just have a little bit on my sponge at a time. I don't want to get it like all squished in all the crevices. I just want it on the top of the stamp. So I'm very lightly pressing, not really even pressing, but just have a little bit of gel and going over that. Now I'm going to press it onto the vellum here. You can kind of see that gel, and I'm going to set that aside to dry, and let's see how that turns out. Now to clean this, I want to take this and use my Squid Buddy squeegee and go clean that off under the sink. So I will do that. That's how I clean all of these. These are safe to use on your stamps, at least the Duo Gel is, because it is a water-based product. So you can clean it off with water very easily. It doesn't ruin your stamp at all. But you do want to get that cleaned off rather quickly. Here's the Distress Plaid stamp. I did the same thing, just added a little bit with my sponge, and then here is the result. You can sort of see those plaid designs. All right, so now I have this stamp set. This is the holiday border stamp set, and I wanted to use those large jingle bells with one of my Jingle All the Way sentiments. So I'm using Fresh Prints ink. This is a light green. It's kind of like a lime green or a spring green. So pretty for a Christmas card when you use pink with it. So I feel like pink is like a light red and this is like a light green. They really go so nicely together. So I stamped a bunch of those jingle bells on the background, just moving my paper. And now I'm going to use this with one of those acetate sheets that we foiled with the pink. For this one, I'm not going to turn it into a shaker card, but I am going to use that same technique to create a frame around the acetate. And that's going to help to add some adhesive so that we can get this all put together. Before we do, I wanted to add a little bit of inking just to make that background stand out a little bit more. So I'm taking, again, my blue raspberry well-loved ink, and I'm going to add a little bit to the top and to the bottom of this panel and just ink that on really quickly, and that's going to give this a little more drama. We do like a little drama in our lives, don't we? At least on cards we do, right? So there we go. I now can go ahead and add all of this together. I'm going to use some score tape once again for that frame. This time I'm using the very thin score tape. I think this is 1/8 of an inch, if I'm remembering right. And then I'll add that to the acetate. For this one, I kind of wished I hadn't pulled off the entire backer at the same time. It would have been a little easier to leave part of that on and then line it up and then attach the frame. But I made it work. Just kind of trying to get that centered and then pressing that all the way around. I did have to trim a little bit of that acetate once again. And now I can use just some liquid adhesive to attach that to the background. So this is a very simple card to make, but it still gives you that wow factor with that background. Now here's the trick. For any parts that did not foil very well or you didn't get perfect, that's where I put embellishments. So I've got some little snowflakes and little candy embellishments here, and I'm just adding it all over the front of the panel, making sure to put some over those strategic spots that I didn't want to show. And that's how you do it. You just make it look like you wanted to do that, right? In the first place. The magic wand makes it so simple to add small embellishments like this. And now you won't even know that those spots were not foiled perfectly. So there is our Jingle All the Way. I hope you can see that pink with that. There's a little bit of glare from the acetate, but it looks so cute. Okay, so let's go ahead and foil up this Mary. This is the one on the asteroid vellum. So pretty. I had a small piece of green left that just about fit perfectly. So I'm going to use that for this Mary word. I've also foiled up that Distress Plaid I use the Moonlit Lake. You can kind of see how pretty that plaid is. I almost wish I did a straight red or green on that one so you could see the design better. I might try that again. And I went ahead and put the other one through with the shiplap background. Now watch this. So I did get some overfoiling on this vellum. And this foil is really old, by the way. I've probably had it for 10 years. It's a brand that I bought at probably Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something. So anyway, I wanted to use it up, but I did get a little overfoiling. All I did was take my sand eraser, clean that up, and then I used my surface sweep to also kind of dust that off, and it started looking just fine. Now here's the shiplap. Look at that. I love it with the green. It's kind of unexpected, but it looks really cool. It's like the neatest design. I'm going to turn that into a card for sure. Now I could have cut out this Mary card altogether. Oh, and look, these other ones, they're not dry yet. I actually left these overnight before I foiled them. So I will get to those in a little bit. But I could have left this Mary one out altogether. I wanted it to go simply on a plaid background just like this. And I think it looks really cool with that vellum showing through, showing the plaid through. So I'm trying some of the no-show glue, and here's where it fell down. For this glue, you just want to use a little tiny bit, not this much. And it came out faster than I expected, and so I got some wrinkling on my vellum when it dried. So I definitely recommend don't do what I did here. I'll show you how to do this much better with my next card that I do vellum. So I am going to redo this card. You'll see I add a little something to kind of hide some of my mistakes on that card, but I think I will completely redo this card, and you'll see why. Now I'm using some of this really cool ephemera that came in the foiling bundle and some Falling for Fall Simple Sayings, and I cut that out using this die here in the Simple Sayings die set, and I'm going to put it together on that beautiful background. This time I'm using the seafoam vellum in the background. You guys, this is beautiful. It looks so great with the green foil. So for this one, since I have a lot of that foil on there, it's fine to use the glue on this. It's not going to show through. I'm just going to trim this down so that it has that vellum showing around the outside. And then I'll take the no-show again. And this time I'm going to add a little more glue all over it so that the whole entire vellum sticks down and we don't have any of the issues that I had with the Mary. So this one worked perfectly. And the nice thing is that there's mostly the foil over it, so you can't see any of that adhesive at all. So I'm just going to put this together with some foam tape to pop that the simple saying or the ephemera up. Don't you love that sentiment? It says fall is my favorite color. So pretty. Okay, I'm going back in with some of this orange sketch for this large give thanks. And we're going to finish up a few more of these cards with the toner. These are the ones we printed. I think Amanda is so talented. If I haven't said that before, I just love how these turned out. So we're going to go ahead and do some more foiling with these, and then I'm going to turn these ones into cards. I'm going to show you what happens. See this one here? This one still was a little bit warped. It dried that way. This one dried relatively flat, and this one was perfect on the acetate. You can see that they're all clear, so that means they're perfectly dry and ready for foiling. So let's go ahead and foil all of these up. There's that give thanks. I have a really cool idea with this one, so I just wanted to share this with you and not leave this one out. I did end up foiling that one twice again because I had just turned the mink back on and it needed just one more try. But there you go. That one is practically perfect. A couple spots right there, but we're going to disguise that as well. So you can also use these pieces. I will save that for another time. For the snowflake, I'm going to use Hearts of the Ocean. This is the Maker Forte, beautiful foil. I love this one, but I thought it'd be really pretty on a snowflake. So that is going to work out great. I'm going to cut this down to fit exactly on that snowflake. I always save all the little pieces too. You know, you can use little pieces for a lot of things. There we go. So I'm going to try to flatten this out as much as I can so I can get a smooth result. This is kind of a bumpy texture on this one. I'm going to use RainGlow for this next background. So pretty. It's got like some designs in the rainbow. I like it. So that's going to go on that full background, the one that is a little bit warped. I thought if we ran it through the ink machine or your laminator that it would flatten it out. So let's see how that one works out. I'm going to loosen up this snowflake and let's see what we get. Oh, it's gorgeous. Look at that. That turned out really great. There is a little bit of warping you can see with the snowflake there, but not too bad. All right, here's the rainbow one. Look at that. And it's mostly flat now. So that is ready to be put onto a card, and of course save that background. It's too pretty to just throw out. For the polka dots, I'm going to use the Snow Day foil. And this is a white foil, and I thought that would be fun because it's kind of like snow, well, big pieces of snow. Maybe if I used a smaller one, it would look more like snowflakes. But I thought a white polka dot would be so pretty, so I love this white foil for that. I'm just pressing down on some of the spots that I thought needed a little extra help because it wasn't completely flat. Don't forget that you can always use your scraper tool or stencil pal to get that nice and flat. Now I had these backgrounds already done from a previous class we did together, and I thought I would make a shaker card with these. So which background should I use here? I kind of like all of them. I keep going back to this one though, so I think we'll make one out of this one. So this is going to be a full shaker card. And did you know you can make your own out of an acetate sheet? All you have to do is score on the edges and then fold those around. I usually like to fold it around like this and then reinforce that fold using the bone folder. Just like that. So I'm going to do that on all the sides. I just keep it lined up on the panel itself. That way I don't have to do any measurements at all. I just follow where the line is and line that up with one of the score lines. Just like this, and fold it over and then reinforce that. And I do that on all four sides, one side at a time. Once that's done on all the sides, you can use some score tape or some red line tape or super tape like this to attach that to the panel. So I'm going to use the score tape that fits on these little edges here. This one seemed to fit the best, and so I'm going to do that. I'm going to add the score tape to all four sides, but I'm not going to close up all four sides. We're just going to close up three sides and leave one of them open so that we can add some shaker pieces. So see, this is starting to come together here. So I will go ahead and release those three sides. And I did trim a little bit of those corners, and you'll see me do that a little bit here so that it would fold nicely. And then this top piece I left open. Here I have some shaker pieces here. I'm not sure the names of these. I think this one was Mermaid maybe. I will have to list that. Now I forgot to use my dryer sheet on this one. So I am going to go in with the dryer sheet because I knew if I didn't, it was going to just stick to that acetate and look terrible. And so I like it to shake around freely. So using that dryer sheet really does help. So I'm going to add some gold stars too, because you know I love those gold stars. I can't get enough of those gold stars. I use them a lot. And now we can go ahead and close up that top ledge just like that. And now I'll put score tape all along the back, and that's what we're going to use to attach it to the card base itself. And this is going to keep it nice and strong and adhered to the base. Remove all the backer pieces and attach that to our card base. And this one I had a little bit not sticking right there, so I just reattached that, and here we go. I did like a little bit of white showing around this one, so I left a small amount all the way around, and I've already colored up an image. You can see here it's from the pumpkin spice set. I colored up one of the pumpkin spice lattes. Isn't that cute? So I'm going to go ahead and stick that right on the top. And for the inside of this card, I'm using one of the versatile sentiments. This one is from last month's, I believe, but there's one that is so perfect to go inside here. Well, a lot of them would really work, but I found one that talks about pumpkin spice lattes. Here it is right here. Happiness is a hot pumpkin spice latte on a cold autumn day, wishing you the loveliest fall season. I liked that a lot. So I'm going to cut that down, and I think they're so easy to use, and they have some really great sentiments. You don't even have to think about it. So I'm cutting it down to fit on the inside, and I'm just going to adhere that a little bit here to the inside just to show you what it looks like. Just like that. And there's plenty of room to still write your sentiment and sign your name. Look at how fun that shaker is. And there's the foil in the background and then the white foil on the front. I really like how that one turned out. All right, here's the last way I'm going to share of some of my favorite ways to use vellum and acetate, and that's using these adhesive transfers from DecoFoil. They have so many different ones, and these are really neat. I have shared these in a previous Foiling Friday, and today I'm going to use it on a couple cards just to show you how beautiful these turn out. There's that dragonfly I used on one before. So for these adhesive transfers, it does say on the back if you're going to use it with vellum or acetate, they recommend using a laminator. And you know that sometimes you can use these by themselves just with a die cut machine, but they do recommend heat for vellum and acetate. So we're going to do that today. Now here's how you use them. You just cut out the part that you want. And oh, by the way, have you seen these matte colors of foil from DecoFoil? We're going to use this lime one today. Look at this. Okay, it's like brushed silver, only in a color. It's like a brushed matte foil. I don't know if you can see in the video. It's really, really cool. It kind of reminds me of like designer Christmas ornaments, which just gave me an idea of what I need to use these on. But okay, I'm going to use that on this hello. So here's how you use these. So you cut out the piece that you want, and then you remove the backer piece. Okay, so it just looks like this. Now it's a sticker. So you're going to stick it on your vellum. Here's where we're using vellum. And then you press that down really well. Now I'm going to do a sub-sentiment here. I decided to use I've been thinking of you as a sub-sentiment. And this is such a fine line sentiment. I couldn't believe that this would foil nicely. Let's see how it turns out though. So I thought that I could just use my bone folder to put this on, but it really works so much better if you run it through your die cut machine just with the plates to press that on really well. So here you can see it started coming up on the L. So I used my bone folder to try to press that down, but I didn't get the greatest result just using my bone folder. So absolutely run that through your die cut machine just using the plates to press that down really well before you add your foil. But I am going to use my laminator to attach the foil now. And I'm going to show you what happens. So I am going to remove this, And it turns out pretty good except for on those L's where I had the problem. So see that? Got a little squiggly line there and it didn't adhere exactly right. But I am going to fix it and I'll show you how. I am going to first add this sub-sentiment though. So you just peel off the backer, add that to where you want to on your vellum, and this time I got smart. I'm going to run that through my die cut machine, and I've done that now. And this time I'm going to use the matte foil that's the turquoise color. It's so beautiful, like a brushed silver look, only with color. Brushed turquoise, I guess. So I'm going to put that on those really thin words, run that through my laminator, and look what a better result I got because I ran it through the die cut machine first and then the laminator to get that foil on there. It was perfect. So for the hello, I'm going to use my DecoFoil adhesive pen. I'm just adding a little bit to the parts where the foil didn't stick on that bottom of the L. I'm going to set that aside to dry before I add the foil again. While that's drying, I'm going to show you my idea for this Give Thanks background on the aged antique vellum. I really did like this aged antique for a lot of my projects today. But I'm going to take these beautiful layering leaves and I'm going to use the outline leaves all over this background. So I'm just choosing my favorites here and kind of laying them out where I think they would look the best. And remember that foil is going to resist ink, so it's going to resist stamping as well. Just going to put a few all the way around, one up here maybe. Yeah, that's going to do it. There we go. And then I'm going to put this in my MISTI and stamp this on to that background. So I'll go ahead and stick that there with the magnet so it doesn't move because I'm going to stamp this a number of times. I'll put a magnet right in the middle there as well. I'm going to start out with English mustard and I'm putting that all over the leaves. And then I'm going to take some fresh prints and put it on the tops of the leaves. And then I'll take the red luster and put it on the other side of the leaves. So we've got yellow, green, and red, kind of an orangey red, all stamping down at the same time. Now it turned out really light the first time, so I'm going to go ahead and ink them up one more time with all of those same colors. Putting the yellow on first, and then the green towards the top right, and then the red luster towards the top left, and then pressing that down. Look what a pretty fall leaf result you get. It looks so good with that foil. It didn't stick to the foil. It's just perfect. I'm going to back this with some of my favorite new cardstock. This is the Old Hickory. It's my favorite brown cardstock. I know that sounds funny, but I've been looking for a brown cardstock that I love, and this one is it. So I'm going to cut those down so that I get a nice matte border around this whole thing, and that's going to be one of my other cards. Just like that. I'll attach that to a card base, and that's all you need for a beautiful Thanksgiving card. It's foiled, it's stamped, it's so pretty. All right, now we've got to try this on the acetate because I can't just leave you just with the vellum. So I'm taking one of the birthday cake images, cutting that out to put on top there. And then I'm going to use the happy birthday sentiment, this one right here. So I'm going to cut that out as well, and we're going to use that just under the birthday cake. So this time I ran it through my die cut machine. So I took the sticker off the back, stuck it to the card acetate right there. Then I took the happy birthday, cut that down so that it would fit nicely, removed the backer, and stuck the sticker right over the acetate. Now I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. And I'm going to use this beautiful matte turquoise foil. I remove the front, add the foil, and then we'll run that through the ink machine. Now watch this. I was so impressed. Oh, first let's go back to that hello. It has dried now. So I'm going to add the foil that was missed right there. And it worked, sort of. It's not perfect. I did clean it up with using my craft knife here. But guess what I'm going to do to just kind of disguise that? If you guessed to use gems, you're right. I'm going to use gems. All right, look at this. That's the acetate, and it is perfect. Okay, it's hard to see on that background, so I'm going to choose a different background. Let me try a few other ideas. I like it on the deer. This one's a little bit too wild. But I think that deer will be a really cool happy birthday shaker card. So I'm going to do that the same way that I did the full shaker before. I cut that out of the video because this was getting just a little bit long. But now to attach some of these other vellum pieces, you can use a full piece of adhesive. This is my double-sided adhesive roll that I'm using. And I did have to cut those down a little bit, but if you use a full sheet of adhesive, then you're not going to really see that as adhesive on a piece of vellum like this. So I'm trying to smooth that out as best I can. I'm going to come in with my bone folder and smooth that out. And I think it looks really cool on this black and white paper from Maker Forte. I did trim that down, and now I'm going to add this beautiful rainbow one to that wavy line background. I'm doing the same exact thing with the full sheet adhesive. It's actually just a little bit thinner than my panel, but that's okay. I'll cut that down, and then I'll have room for a mat all the way around that. So it actually worked out pretty perfect. So there's our two vellum pieces adhered with a full sheet of adhesive. Now here's my Mary that I glued down before. I'm adding some beautiful Christmas roses, but you can see that we did have some buckling on that vellum, which is why I do not recommend adding that adhesive all the way around the vellum unless you can add it to the full sheet. So as I say, I'm going to redo this one because I do not like the buckling, but I do think this is a pretty card. See that buckling? But look at those beautiful Christmas roses. Okay, now here's the way that I would do it. I attached the top of this vellum with just two small dots of adhesive at the top. I left the bottom open. No adhesive whatsoever, but now I'm attaching some penguins. And what I can do now is add some liquid adhesive behind those penguins to attach the vellum to the bottom portion, because that's not going to show. The penguins are going to disguise that. So this is how I should have done the Christmas rose one. See here? So I'm just adding some liquid adhesive right there, and that will attach that perfectly. Look at those cute penguins. They're so happy. Here's where I'm going to add some gems just to disguise those mistakes on the L. I still think this is a really fun card. It actually was one of my favorites. It's always a surprise to see which ones we're going to like at the end. I hope you'll leave a comment and let me know which one's your favorite. Let's go through all of the cards we've made so far, and we'll talk about that giveaway. Here's the hello with that brushed lime green foil on vellum, and then that foiled background. We added some penguins to this one. Here's the Mary card. I love the way it looks, except for the buckling, so I will redo that. Here is our, oh, see the foil on that one, that background? So pretty. Here's the one, I just added a simple saying to this snowflake one with the full sheet adhesive. And then here is the next one that we did with that shiplap background and the green foil. That's so pretty. I like that ephemera too. I think it's so beautiful. There's so many ones to choose also. So that one turned out really fun. Then we have this one here that we did with the Jingle All the Way acetate. And we did those bells in the background and added some really cute little snowflake and candy confetti pieces. Put that frame around the outside. Here's how the shaker happy birthday turned out. Isn't that fun? I think that turned out really cool. Shake, shake, shake. And those deer in the background are foiled, by the way. That's from the Wrapped in Foil Christmas paper pack. Here's the one with the foiled background and the snow foil in the front. That peppermint or hot pumpkin spice latte. Another full shaker. Really, really fun. I'm going to run out of room to put all these cards. Then we have this Autumn Blessings shaker with that pumpkin in the background, that beautiful bright specialty glitter confetti. And then we did the big frame on this one and popped that up with double-sided foam or extra thick foam. That makes a really easy shaker. Here's our give thanks with that premium aged antique vellum that we distressed all the edges and added some of the ephemera pieces. That's fun. My husband liked that card, by the way. Next we have the Autumn Blessings, where we did the stenciling in the background and added some copper paper. I really like this one. How the colors on that are just so fun. And then we have this one here, the leaf stamping with all those colors. I think that big give thanks is just gorgeous. And then, of course, my favorite, Old Hickory in the background as the mat. And then we have this one here that turned into the sign. This is the acetate sheet, and then added a little raffia to the top. That's going to go right here on this holder. So that's a cute little sign for Thanksgiving. And then, of course, I finished the red Jingle All the Way. Just added some holly berries and some gems to this one, and a foiled background using some paper from Maker Forte that's foilable. So look at, here's all our Thanksgiving ones. Too many to even fit in the frame. And then we have all the Christmas ones as well. So many cards today, but I hope that you got some inspiration. Here's the Christmas ones. I'll just line up here. Now, remember that giveaway from ThermoWeb with the fairy tale collection? If you want to enter to win, please leave a comment after this video posts to YouTube. If you're watching the live, wait until after it posts and leave a comment. And here's what I want you to tell me. One, maybe you can tell me your favorite card, but really what I want to hear is, how would you finish this card? I did not make this one into a card, and I love the way this background turned out, but I didn't make it into a card. So tell me what you would do with that. And here's all the foils you could win. So we will choose a winner next week. It will give you about a week to make all your comments, and we'll choose a winner after Thanksgiving and contact you by replying to your comment. That's how you'll know you win, and you'll have to let us know how to get you that prize. So look at all these cards, so many to fit. Also, don't forget to leave a little love for Amanda, who designed these beautiful designs for foiling. Also, Alex and ThermoWeb. I'm just appreciative of all of these ladies and ThermoWeb as a company for everything they've done. I'm so happy that I get to share with you these Foiling Fridays. I'll be back again with another Foiling Friday real soon. And good luck to you. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you don't want to enter the giveaway, you're still welcome to leave a comment and just let us know that as well. Happy crafting. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.